person, or in some religions, a second trinity, feminine, the mother. And this is that which makes manifestation possible, that which eternally in the one is the root of limitation and division, and which when manifested is called matter. It is the triangle below the triangle, the pyramid below the pyramid. It is what is known as and you're not going to believe this, but the name just slipped my tongue, just slipped right out of my mouth and disappeared faster than I could say it. But I will remember it sometime during this broadcast or the next. You've heard of as above, so below. Everything opposes the duality of this world. In other words, their God is not a male God as the Christian God is. It is a androgynous God, possessing both female and male. This, they believe, is some of it is so far out that it's hard for me to even tell you about it, folks. Some of it is very difficult to understand, and you shouldn't even try unless you want to follow this religion. They believe that this is the divine not self, the divine matter, the manifested nature, regarded as one, which later on becomes she, as triple. She is the fourth, making possible the activity of the three, the field of their operations by virtue of her infinite divisibility, at once the handmaid of the Lord and also his mother, yielding of her substance to form his body, the universe, when overshadowed by his power. You see, I told you this was a very intricate religion. So let me give you one more taste of this, one that you might understand a little bit better. The second person is revealed by interaction between her, the divine matter, and the third person of the Trinity, and thus becomes the mediator. Hence, the second person of the Trinity of Spirit is ever dual. He is the one who clothes himself in matter, in whom the twin halves of deity appear in union, not as one. And I know that you're all thoroughly confused. I hope that it will become clear as we go along. But this, if you understand it, suffices to show that the Theosophic conception of the Godhead is very different from that held in the Holy Catholic Christian Church or in the Protestant Church. It is impersonal. It lies at the root of all existence. It manifests itself as power, as wisdom, and as activity, as thought, as desire, and action. When, and only when, it's considered as a spiritual entity. It also manifests itself as divine matter, which is the necessary condition for its manifestation. The second person, wisdom, is dual in nature, spiritual as reason, material as love. The cosmogony that I spoke about earlier comes about in this manner. Theosophy, considering matter eternal, believes the cycles of the universe by the millions and reckons them also as such. They believe that we are at present in the fifth subrace of the human root race. And even a subrace goes on for millennia without any visible changes, preparing for a new subrace, which makes its appearance suddenly. They say that in the New Age of Aquarius, the New World Order, the fifth root race will disappear and the sixth root race will emerge. The present subrace, called the Teutonic, is a subrace of the Aryan root race. Remember, I told you this is all racial and religious in nature, ladies and gentlemen. And they believe that the Anglo-Aryan race is a superior race, and that all the other races are inferior, being guided in their developmental evolution by this superior race. And if they find races that they believe cannot evolve properly, they destroy that race, get rid of it. They believe that the Aryan root race was preceded by the Atlantean, and this in turn by the Lemurian race. Remember all those terms that you already heard in all of these other things, and in the Baha'i religion also, and in the Rose and Cross? They believe that the Lemurian race was the first that can be truly called human, as it was preceded by semi-animal races, monkeys, if you will. The proper history of man, according to Blavatsky, began no less than 18 million years ago. As a result of her clairvoyant investigation, for she claimed to be a medium who could talk to the spirits and see into the other world. She was in contact, she claims, with divas and mahatmas, terms and titles that she got from her travels through India. As a result of her clairvoyant investigations, the Theosophists published maps of the world as it was 800,000 years ago, and again as it appeared 11,500 years ago. And you're beginning to see in the New Age movement maps that are depicting the world as it will appear after these earth changes that will destroy the fifth root race and leave the sixth root race as the inheritor of the world. And what do you think that's all about, ladies and gentlemen? They talk very clearly that those who cannot make the shift in collective consciousness will not be allowed into the new world. You better listen to these people, because they're telling you that if you don't accept what they're teaching, you're going to be destroyed, murdered, if you will. And I mean it, murdered. They may use you as slave labor for a while, but they're surely going to kill you eventually. And they make no secret of it. None whatsoever. They tell us of the Atlantean race living on the Atlantean continent 800,000 years ago. They believe that this continent formed a belt around the earth stretching almost uninterruptedly from Mexico right across the present Atlantic Ocean onto Egypt and Asia, and that the similarity in the pyramids that exist in these countries is proof of this. They believe in an older continent, the Lemurian, once stretched from the Indian Ocean to Australia. And from the same occult source of information, Theosophists know that during the Atlantean period, very early immigrations resulted in the grand civilization of Egypt, which was in progress long before the time assumed by modern historians. And some Jewish scholars believe that they are the survivors of this ancient religion. And I don't know if they're in the minority or the majority. I really don't know. Other so-called Aryan scholars claim that they are the survivors and the true inheritors of the intelligence and the civilization of these previous root races and worlds, if you will. And this scholar believes that they're all full of crap and it's all a bunch of bullshit. And I can prove my statement much easier than they can ever prove theirs. And if it's true that every age the old race dies and the new race emerges and takes control, then what they are really saying is that they are the old, devolved race, that they really don't belong here. If they believe their own crap, that's what they're saying. They're saying that they're really inferior, and they don't even understand that. Because they say that those civilizations were wiped out by a superior evolutionary jump in the progression of the human race.